According to 1 Corinthians 1:26 through 28, the same may be said of the New Testament church. Remember what he says there? Not many of you noble, not many wise. Boy, I could add to that list this morning. Not many of you very good looking. Not many snappy dressers among you. I mean, if you look, that is the way God has always moved. Always. He always goes in that direction. He chooses the things that are not to confound the wisdom and strength and supposed righteousness of this world. Always. He sets the standard here at the very beginning. I always tell people, salvation is the only thing I ever qualified for. You are so wrong when you think that you've got to reach a certain level, go up a certain level to be used. To be used of God, you just need to become more and more aware of self, of what you are, and your great need of Him. Just dependence. That's why God works through weak men. And God will orchestrate no matter what in their lives to continue weakening them. And if He gives them greater revelation, He will give them greater pain. He will give them things in their life so that they're not exalted. He'll do whatever He has to do. Because being used of God is not reaching some super spiritual level. Being used of God comes through God's providence working in our life, demonstrating our weakness to a greater and greater degree and His sufficiency to a greater and greater degree. So in the end, we're used more than ever, and yet recognize that we've offered less than ever. That it's all of grace and it's all of Him. Most of all of God's providence in the believer's life is to demonstrate to them the reality of their weakness, that they might be filled with the fullness of God. Now, one of my favorite parts here is verse 8. It is my favorite part. But because the Lord loved you and kept the oath which He swore to your forefathers, the Lord brought you out by a mighty hand and redeemed you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And what is he saying? Why did the Lord love you? Well, here's the answer. Because He loves you. Now let's read some notes here that I've written down. He says, because the Lord loved you. The first reason given for God's election and calling of Israel is more a taunt than an explanation. I did it because I did it. That's what He's saying. I loved you because I loved you. I did it because I did it. It is a powerful way to explain that there is no reason for God's love toward man outside of God Himself. Why did you love me? I loved you because I loved you. What is He saying? It didn't come from you. You didn't evoke it. You didn't wrangle it out of me. It wasn't because you implored. It wasn't because of you asked. It wasn't because you deserved. I loved you because I loved you. It all comes out of me. It's my doing, my will, my choice, my good pleasure. That is why I loved you. John Trapp writes, lo, He loved you because He loved you. This may see, and he uses a Latin phrase here which means same through the same, but it excellently shows the ground of God's love to be wholly in Himself. John Gill writes, with an unmerited love He loved them because He loved them, that is, because He would love them. His love was not owing to any goodness in them or done by them or any love in them to Him, but to His own good will and good pleasure. I've heard people say, God saved you to serve. Well, there's a sense of truth in that, but that's not really a good statement. I've also heard people say, God saved you. God didn't save you to serve. God saved you so that you would love Him. Well, there's a little bit of truth in that, but I don't think it's a very good statement. Maybe this would be a better statement. God saved you so that He might demonstrate His love toward you. The atoning work of Christ put away the sins that separated you from God so that God might love you, pour out His love on you, demonstrate how great He is by the manner in which He loves you. Now that's a wonderful thing. God has taken it upon Himself to demonstrate His greatness by the character and quality of love that He pours out on Paul Washer. Now let's think about this statement for a moment. This is wonderful, guys. And I can see that you're not understanding what I'm saying because you're not just doing cartwheels right now. Isn't that amazing? That God has determined to show how great He is through the quality, the character, even the quantity of love that He pours out on you throughout all eternity. Showing everyone how great He is by how wonderful He is to you. We have to be very, very careful here. It's a two-edged sword. One is flagrant, selfish, pathetic. I don't know what else. There's just no words. Loathsome, disgusting prosperity teaching that goes on today. It's just disgusting. Totally off-center. Yet at the same time, we have to avoid the pietistic, kind of Catholic, pietistic, monastic view that I am supposed to literally walk around unblessed. Or that the blessing always has to take certain forms. We have to learn to walk between those two things. Because what you are is a demonstration of how good God is. Now, if I give my son everything he wants as a little immature boy, does that show how good I am? No. It shows just the opposite. But when I wisely give to my son and wisely withhold from my son and do all things for the benefit of my son's character, for the benefit of him truly developing a relationship with God, if I do all things for his eternal benefit, then people look at me and say, this is a good man. Now, I have two different sons, completely different. And I have to treat them differently because they are different. I may give to one and withhold from the other. I may withhold from that one that I gave and give to the one from which I withheld. I am going to treat them differently because in wisdom, hopefully as a father, I know exactly what these boys need in order to become exactly what they need to become. In the same way, God knows exactly what you need in order for you to become the person you need to become in Christ. And He will rock your boat, rock your world. Remember several years ago, a Catholic priest wrote a series of books called Joshua.